So we all know we're kind of in a halt right now, don't we? Over in the free agency market for the majority of NBA stars currently remaining in the trade block and free agency. We know we got, of course, Damian Lillard and James Harden that, are the biggest perennial trading signs after of the probably one of the biggest contracts in NBA history was just announced around a few days ago of Jaylen Brown getting $304 million by the Boston Celtics for an extended 5 years. And don't get me wrong, Jaylen Brown has been a pivotal contribution. He's evolved over an all-star playing level, but not to be a number one option, to be highly paid more than Jason Tatum. I'm just saying. And I think Jason Tatum haven't gotten a renewal over his contract since I think the 2019 or 2021 season. And it's nothing against Jaylen Brown. I'm not trying to denounce his play style, even though people want to make fun of his terrible handling over in the ball that caused 7 turnovers in their loss against the Miami Heat in Game 7 in the conference finals. I'm joking. But depending on Jaylen Brown, he's a perennial scorer, a complimentary second option. If he becomes a first option, if he goes to any other team that would try to sacrifice a majority over the rotational players or future draft picks to get him, and he'd be a complimentary piece, and he's shown that he can be consistent and be a high 30 to 40 point scorer wherever he go. However, if Tatum's out of the picture, if Kristaps Porzingis doesn't compensate, because I know possibly his scoring is going to be a factor, Tatum can wing out for their scoring. And just knowing such a minimal amount of depth, but Marcus Smart just leaving, like that is still pretty big. Pretty big to know how much they're banking on still keeping a bit of their core unit while a few major sacrifices, trying to at least try to finally get something out of this unit that they've made several conference finals appearances with. And I don't want to deny it, because I like Jaylen Brown, and I'm not trying to denounce that he does not deserve a bag, but over that value amount, not even to be reconstructed for an additional supermax, that's higher than the $250 million that Bradley Beal got last offseason, that even got him traded over to the Phoenix Suns to make that bullshit super team that we know damn well is going to barely even get to the second round. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. But that's what we're getting. And knowing that this might end up in the back burner, depending on how, if injuries play a factor, consistency around in the regular season, and consistency does matter. It's 82 games. You can watch an hour of basketball and you know how these guys play. And the consistency matter over in a rotational team while you have 16 extra games of basketball to play around the summer. If Jaylen Brown doesn't, at least produces over in a high level, or gets himself injured around the season, at least before postseason, this might come to bite the Boston Celtics up the ass if he demands a trade over the underperformance of the Celtics. And it's been like that for several years with these top-rated teams, when they had Kyrie, when they had a top-ranked defense, when they keep losing to the Miami Heat in the conference finals, when they couldn't win the big one after getting a 2-0 lead in the start of the NBA Finals from 2022, it just gets choked up and Curry just dominated. There's a reason why you might want to just burn your bridges, because there's no trade clause in the first year. I think around until 2024 to even get a strike over a deal. So you can't even get Damian Lillard and a few assets to try to make a pivotal run. So the only option for Damian that's still up on the table is probably still Miami, but they're still compensating for pieces over with probably not a fair amount. A fair amount of contribution and talent, because I don't think Tyler Hero and a couple first-round picks and some bench warmers is going to be enough to compensate for that contract deal, even though we know the Trailblazers are trying to still rebuild with enough formidable future talent, and I bet they're still trying to run things with Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons to be the key components for the new generation, because And Tyler Hero knows what it's all about. He's probably going to be part of a key move, but it better not come to bite Miami if it doesn't work out. James Harden's possibility to get out of Philly is a longer shot than Damian Lillard, because at least Damian Lillard was still productive around that time. Harden has a postseason drought of inconsistencies that span for a damn near decade. And even though he's still one of the best combo all-around guards that can be a good second to third option over on an offense, he kind of has a reputation for not being, there when you need him the most. And he has an injury history dependent on over in his hamstring, his drama, and plus he just gets what he wants, and apparently it still doesn't work out. And I hate to say it, because I want to see Harden win championships, Paul George, Russell Westbrook. But if he goes over to the Clippers, and they're not trying to even sacrifice Terrence Mann or any other potential stars, Zubac, Nicholas Batum, possibly a couple future picks, and even Joel Embiid once out of the Philadelphia 76ers. Sometimes it comes over to the man. And this goes over to the conversation we had about Doc Rivers after he got sacked from the Sixers after blowing that entire series that they had against the Celtics in the conference semifinals. When do we blame the players? Harden doesn't come to perform, and Embiid doesn't come to perform. He was hurt. He wasn't out for a majority of the series. The Embiid was still racking over 40-point games. Harden had at least 2 50-point games and then just undershot the ball in the remainder, acting incredibly passive and just inconsistently shot, and just poor team basketball alone. If you guys actually watch the goddamn game, you'll know that the Sixers had a complete opportunity to pack up the series to face the Miami Heat to get a matchup against them in the conference finals instead of the Boston Celtics. So I don't know where in the world you guys are getting your facts from. It is ridiculous. And knowing Harden is still over on the long run, knowing that he's possibly not going to have a big perennial trade option, knowing that his value is somewhat low over recent events, it's just better off he just sticks over the long run, at least try to get one more playoff pushover with Embiid. Because Embiid's over with the trade rumors that actually matter, because my man actually has value depending over on his postseason performances, more on his regular season performances, because he just won league MVP. A pity MVP in many people's opinion, knowing that people think Nikola Jokic deserved it more because he was more consistent around the playoffs, produced average double-double, triple-double for majority of the season, and he had several months of the Denver Nuggets become the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, making it over to the NBA Finals in a dominant performance. So that could clear the wave, and now that we got sources, it's not really confirmed that Joel Embiid wants out of the Sixers unless he says so. The hell, Harden at least showed that he don't want to fuck with him as soon as he got anything related with the Sixers out of his Twitter. It's just confusing me at this point. And now I'm hearing trade packages for Joel Embiid to go to the Chicago Bulls, the Cleveland Cavaliers, where they're really desperate for a versatile offensive player that can possibly assist Donovan Mitchell. Somebody needs to be the number 1 option on that team, and I don't think the number 1 option is Donovan Mitchell. He plays too much hero ball in my opinion. I'm sorry, he just does. That Knicks series was dependent that he's just really aggressive around the paint, too inconsistent around his shots, and he's obviously the playmaking guard. I swear, if he becomes if Donovan Mitchell's packed up with the right number 1 option, he actually is going to be one of the best players of all time, and I swear he will do that. Chicago, I don't know what's going to be the depiction here over in the long term, knowing Lonzo Ball's injuries, their inconsistencies to perform. Billy Donovan's a terrible coach in my opinion, and just there's only so much you can do with just 2 scoring guards and not a lot of depth in the Chicago Bulls bench. So I would understand if Embiid doesn't pack up on that option. The only long-term option and a major marketing option for Embiid is possibly the New York Knicks or even James Harden. But we know Harden's major target is probably the Los Angeles Clippers, and it would not surprise me. But how do you guys feel what's going on right now in the NBA offseason? Everybody in the span of somebody gets traded there, somebody gets signed there, then there's paranoia, and that's what I think a lot of people are the most excited for until something happens around the summer, until media day happens. So we'll get to see this further. Thanks for watching. Comment, of course, like, share, and subscribe to Sidelines Production. This is DST, and I'm signing out, and I'm taking my Tylenol.